This is a neuron. The neuron is made up of the cell nucleus, cell body, dendrites, the axon hillock, and the axon. The signal travels down the axon from the presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron. The synapse is the space between both the neurons. During saltatory conduction, the signal travels from node to node over the myelinated axons. This allows the signal to be transmitted more quickly.
Calcium binds with the membrane of the synaptic vesicles, which causes the vesicles to break and release the neurotransmitter into the synaptic cleft. After the neurotransmitters are released, they diffuse across the synaptic cleft and interact with receptors on the postsynaptic membrane. The receptors are voltage-gated ion channels, and they allow the action potential to continue down the next neuron.
The yellow triangles represent potassium ions, while the blue circles represent sodium ions.
The resting membrane potential is negative 70 millivolts.
The potential inside the cell is negative due to other negative ions present inside the membrane.
Sodium-potassium pumps maintain the concentration gradient, allowing sodium to move in and potassium to move out against their gradients through active transport, and this happens through phosphorylation of ATP to ADP.
During depolarization, the ions on both sides of the membrane approach equilibrium. Action potentials are generated when the depolarization reaches a specific threshold for opening the voltage-dependent sodium and potassium channels. This creates a better balance between the charges within the inside of the cell and the outside.
Repolarization is when the balance becomes negative again after depolarization. This process causes an overshoot in the potential of the cell. Potassium ions continue to move out of the axon so much that the resting potential is exceeded, and the new cell potential becomes more negative than the resting potential.
The downtime following an action potential when a second action potential cannot be initiated is called the refractory period. This interval sets a limit on the maximum frequency at which action potentials can be generated. The refractory period also ensures that all signals in an axon travel in one direction, from the cell body to the axon terminals.
An excitatory synapse is a synapse in which an action potential in a presynaptic neuron increases the probability of an action potential occurring in a postsynaptic cell. Neurons form networks through which nerve impulses travel, each neuron often making numerous connections with other cells.
Those are neurons, and I hope that's helpful.